Hello, everybody. It's 1:02 p.m. Central Time on the 11th of August, 2021. It's Wednesday. Here in the United States, got some breaking news for you. 7.2 earthquake, 6.9 USGS, 7.2 Europeans, somewhere in the 7 range, just struck at the Indonesia-Philippines border region. Need to turn on a display capture so you can see what I see just a little bit better. And here it is. Big quake. And this is Philippines on the north side. Here is Indonesia on the south side. And I can open up a USGS plate boundary map. That'll show us with a big red dot where the earthquake is. Do you see the thick red line that's here? That thick red line is the plate boundary, or a plate boundary. Again, between plates, where you think of this like a crack at the surface. It starts at the surface and goes all the way down side by side as the plates butt up against each other, down to the underside of the plate where the crack also goes down too. So top to bottom, basically a crack all the way through it. Now look where it goes down to. It connects back down to Papua New Guinea and all the way back to Fiji, over to Indonesia. Again, it feeds into there and goes up to the north, up into Japan. So this new 7 comes on the heels of a series of deep earthquakes. Deep earthquakes popping off. They're raised high off the globe. Here you can see just a few. And we have letter Ds to signify where we expect new deep earthquakes to take place. Those Ds do not shift. We leave those on this map, and they've been there for 8 years. Happens regularly that the Ds get hit. So there are regular repeat occurrence points that get hit with deep quakes down below. Now, why does that matter? Well, we get into a standing wave. Now, first of all, the deep quakes. This is what I think is going on. Over thousands of miles of VLF or lower, very low frequency or lower, wave down in the magma or asthenosphere down below the plate focuses in on itself and can't compress down into the magma or the asthenosphere, and it focuses up into a singularity or a spike. The combined force of the whole wave over thousands of miles focuses in on the underside of the plate and boom, hammers in on the underside. Then it spreads up, out, and away. And as we get hammering action coming in, starts with just one, just like in a standing wave. And as the wave reaches the other end of the tank, it focuses back in on itself. The wave combines back in on itself and starts going back in the other direction. And the amplitude increases. The wave gets bigger. The magnitude increases. So think of each one of these like a deep earthquake happening. And then they reflect back into each other. But this is in a laboratory wave tank. We have to go back over and look at this. This is the wave tank, the thick red lines. So we get hammering action that came in right here at the S-shaped bend in the plate where we have 2 letter Ds. 2 letter Ds right here, Indonesia, right here, Philippines. Both, over the past several days, struck multiple times with new deep quakes. Multiple hammering actions coming in on the underside of the plate here. And traveling up to Taiwan and back down to Philippines. Same time the wave is going up to Taiwan, look what's also happening over to the east. A 5.5 striking just a day ago, or this morning, up on the east side. Now we go back a day before that, and look. 5.3 to 5.4 on the other side. So it's 2 of the same size quakes going up to Taiwan and over to the edge north of Guam, but it all can be traced back like a letter V or a letter Y, back down to here where the hammering action was taking place on the south side. Now, same time up here to the north, hammering action taking place up in Japan on the other letter D that spread up along the coast all the way to Alaska. So in the past 2 weeks now, we're dealing with the biggest earthquake in years, an 8.2 up in Alaska, followed by 6's new eruptions across the entire Aleutian Island chain in Alaska. And of course, now on the west side of the Pacific, new deep earthquakes, and a big 7.2. People telling me there's a tsunami warning with this, which I always wait a few minutes before even checking, just because. But at this point, let's go over and open up tsunami.gov. Second time I've had to use it in the last 2 weeks. There is a tsunami threat. You got to be kidding me. Okay, let's see what's going on. Info statement, threat messages. What do we have? Potential threat issued at 8/11/2021 at 12:58:14 UTC. Or PM. Okay, hold on. And Indonesia. also issued at the same time. Let's click on the Philippines threat. View the bulletin by clicking on the breakpoint marker. Well, I am clicking on the breakpoint marker. It's not giving us the threat level. Let's go down here. So Mindanao, Philippines. 7.2, an earthquake with preliminary magnitude of 7.2 occurred in Mindanao, Philippines. I hope I'm saying that right. Mindanao. Based on the preliminary earthquake parameters, hazardous tsunami waves are possible for coasts located within 300 kilometers of the earthquake epicenter. They don't give us wave heights, but they are giving us arrival times. ETA, UTC time, 1809 UTC. It is 2 minutes from now. 2 minutes from now, first estimated wave arrival time. That would be putting us at a place called Davao, D-A-V-A-O. Now they've adjusted the earthquake to a 7.1. USGS has brought the earthquake up to 7.1.
7.0.
Yes. Okay. USGS, you'll hear this happen, by the way, the dinging of the bell as they adjust the earthquake up or down. So in this case, USGS has brought it up to a 7.1, and the Europeans have brought it down so far to a 7.1. So they're both matching at this point. Okay. So now we're going to go put in DAVAO, because right now, at basically 19 minutes after the hour, or 9 minutes after the hour, that's due to arrive. At Davao City, right here, there's the Davao Gulf. Okay, a gulf is going to be more shallow, and it's going to slope up, of course, to the beaches and to the seashore, and waves will rise as they come in. Of course, a tsunami is a large inundating wave that, when it comes in, the oceans recede, pull back, just like that standing wave that I showed you in the tank. The waves combine and come back over, but it's not a standing wave, it's a flowing wave. In this case, though, Davao City being warned, and that's right now. Again, they have it arriving at 1809. By 1813, we're at Geme, G-E-M-E, and then by 1846, we're at Cotabudo, Philippines, by 1846. So this is going to progress up along the coast pretty quickly, and I would think maybe as far south as down here pretty quickly, at the speed of a jetliner, and it's already happened several minutes ago. If you're just now tuning in, a 7.1 to 7.2 earthquake has struck on the plate boundary here at the Philippines-Indonesia border region. There is a tsunami warning issued with this for the area 300 kilometers out from the earthquake epicenter. Let me mark this current earthquake. So we need to mark it so we can measure 300 kilometers out in all directions. Okay, Europeans have now brought it down to 6.9, and the USGS brought it up to 7.1. Again, they're going to be doing that. They're going to be revising the magnitudes on this. If they come in at 6.9, I'm going to raise my eyebrows a little bit, because this 0.9 business gets a little weird after a while. 0.9, downgrading an earthquake to be the less magnitude, right? Taking a 7 down to 6.9, taking a 6 down to a 5.9, taking a 5 down to a 4.9. It's getting a little prevalent to a point where it seems like maybe something's going on with the downgrading of quakes to make them the less magnitude down, for future purposes of kind of hiding what's going on right now. So in the future, when people look back and they want to know how many 7s hit, if you make them all 6.9s, no 7s hit. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, so we're going to mark it as a 7.1 on August 11th, 2021. Now, I could go check the station list on this to really see what the stations are showing, but I don't want to waste too much of your time on this update, again, with this size quake, whether it's a 6.9 or a 7.1. It's a big quake. The chances of there being, let's say, a big tsunami off a 6.9 are pretty slim. Let's go over to the National Data Buoy Center, and see if there's any buoys in event mode over here. Oh, well, hey. Why would we need any buoys here, I guess, is the question. You know, it's not like it's the biggest earthquake zone in the planet or anything, where we have U.S. bases all the way up here at Guam, and we have bases up at Okinawa, and all the way around here. Investments and all kinds of business the U.S. does here. But we don't need to know about any stinking tsunamis. So we're not going to need any buoys through there. So getting a buoy report out of there is going to be pretty impossible. There are none. Now, I will hit refresh just to make sure, before I get too sarcastic on this, that there might be a spread that goes to the other buoys within a few minutes to an hour, and we'll see other buoys light up. We saw that with the 8.2 up here in Alaska that caused buoy action all the way over to Japan and all the way over to the east coast of the United States from an 8. So we should see other buoys go into event mode as the wave travels, the actual, not the ocean wave, the seismic wave travels to the other buoys nearby. But it's going to take a while. Look how far away they are, 1,000 miles in each direction. So however long it takes a seismic wave to travel, we might see the buoys light up and start to blink. It doesn't mean a wave is reaching there in the ocean, it just means the seismic wave is spreading out from a big quake. That happens again all the time. I'm not seeing anything here right now doing anything, which is really weird, actually. So first of all, there's no buoys there. Secondly, in the buoys around it, no activity showing at all. But they got a freaking tsunami warning going, which you click on, and it says, view bulletin by clicking on the breakpoint marker. Okay, I'm clicking on it. Right? Okay, again, it is zoom to. Let's go click it again. No, it just keeps zooming us in when you want to see the bulletin, you go click on it down here. Oh, wait, it doesn't open there either, even though it's clickable. So we have to go down on the list. I mean, do you see who's in charge with this asinine operation, man? Non-clickable links that say click. Boy, you want to talk about a problem. Back to it. Big earthquake, tsunami warning issued over here at the Philippines. And this follows our other huge quake, the biggest in years, up here on the north side just this past week. We're dealing with major activity. We're dealing with big, deep earthquake activity. And the big, deep earthquake activity, these earthquakes that are raised high off the globe, followed by shallow, large earthquake activity, like the 7 you see on the screen here now, right next to the deep quake. This is going to spread out. This energy will spread out. We should see a flurry of 6s over the next few days, go up to Japan again, and across Indonesia out towards Asia. So we have to warn spots where the rings all overlap. I have to warn Myanmar, right here where the red and the pink rings overlap for the previous earthquakes. That halfway point on the bend of the plate, we have to warn you for near 6.0 level activity. So let's just put it at 5.9, right? Little pun there, but seriously, right here at the bend of the plate, as energy is going to be flowing out towards Europe. Same time, that energy is going to be going up, spreading out past Taiwan, going up to Japan at the H-shaped bend in the plate. Here, across Tokyo, just north. So on the north side of Tokyo, I would think the north side, this is all going to recombine. We'll get a new 6.2 earthquake, some low end 6 to 6.2, 1 magnitude less. Actually, that's not that much loss of energy. To go from a 7 down to a 6, all that far north, thousands of miles to the north. But that's what's going to happen here in the next few days. Also, hey, whenever we see activity here, let me show you something else. Whenever we see activity here, there's this S-shaped bend in the plate that's, USGS doesn't have jack mark there, but you can go over here and take a look and you can actually see the physical bends in the plate. It's an S shape. That when a big quake strikes here, from time to time, we see energy go back. Just a little bit, but back against the flow. And look who's back against the flow right here. A big open area where there's a silent zone across Papua New Guinea where no earthquakes have struck pretty much across the whole landmass of Papua New Guinea. Over on the east side, right next to the volcanoes, 4.9 quake. Now in the past, there's been several times where I issue a seismic warning here and instead a volcano blows. As a matter of fact, there was one time when I issued a warning for a 7-point-something earthquake to strike here. And on the last day of the warning, and a volcano that had not erupted in 2,000 years blew right here in the middle of the tip of the arrow. Instead of an earthquake hitting. But it was on the last day of the warning. I'm looking for a 7 right there, and boom, that volcano hasn't erupted in 2,000 years. Goes. They called it the first sudden eruption of 2018. It's like, what? Sudden eruption? Like, sudden unexpected eruption. I'm like, unexpected? What do you mean unexpected? We were looking for something there, and then all of a sudden a blast happens there? Let's go down the list and just see who's on the list today. Shiveluch up in Russia. That's in Kamchatka. Same with Karinsky, Kamchatka. Seismopochnoi is up in the Aleutian Island chain, so that's 3 up north right there. Sabancayas in Peru, Luatolos down in Indonesia, Nevado State Chilean, Copihu is erupting. Well, not in the past 8 hours, I should say, but down at Chile-Argentina border region. Seismopochnoi several times. Shiveluch several times. Karimsky several times. Pavlov a few times. Shirinkoten volcano a few times. You want to talk about ones that are never on the list? Shirinkoten. Pavlov. Never on the list. I mean, not like never, but hardly ever. We're ever talking about these up here in the North Pacific, up in the Aleutians. But now we have 8.0 earthquake up in Alaska, 7.0 earthquake over in Philippines, and connecting between the two, all the volcanoes lit up. South Japan, going up into the Kuril Islands, up to Kamchatka, and across Alaska. All this lit up. Pavlov, Seismopochnoi, Karimsky, Shiveluch, Shirinkoten, Suwanee-Zajima. Boom, 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 boom. That's all the way across where all the seismic is right now. And that's where the wave is trapped. The wave from the previous big quake. And that gets me back to the standing wave. The standing wave that I showed you in this video here. That when that wave is spreading through the tank, you start pumping more deep earthquakes into the mix, and it puts more energy in. Then it spreads. The wave spreads. But notice how each wave is the same size. Think of these like the same size magnitudes, spreading out across the tank. And then again, we get back to, well, Dutch, what's the tank? And then we get back to the tank is the plate boundary, or are the plate boundaries. And that wave is spreading out and going up towards Japan. And the wave previously, from the previous big disturbance from almost 2 weeks ago, still stuck up here between Japan and Alaska. Hence all the eruptions, all the earthquakes, and everything associated with that. Now, on the perimeter, 7.2 on this side. What do you think is going to happen over here on the perimeter on the other side for the United States? Well, that gets into what's going on in the U.S., which is they're not reporting earthquakes out in the ocean to try and make you feel better. So you don't worry. They don't report them. But they can't hide the quakes on land, and we have a giant U shape or a V shape of threes that has gone across the plate in the past 4 to 5 days. Take a look at it. Do you see it? Again, I'm showing you 3.0 and greater. So it's a spread of threes. They're all about the same size. And it's going right along this, the edge of the craton. Now, it's going around it. If you can see, it's going around the edge of the craton, down to the south. But look where it goes back to, guys. Come on. It goes back up. The older earthquakes are in red, by the way. So it goes back to the spot where they're not reporting quakes. And out here, there has already been some 5.0 activity this week. They're just not reporting it to you. They don't want you to see it. So a 5 out here, and then 3s going across the plate. And the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network is the network that's responsible for hiding the quakes from you. Okay, so edge of the craton is moving, and we have earthquake activity out here off the coast that's already struck this week. And how do I know that? People monitoring on their own stations. I'm not going to give you the station, not going to give you their name, not going to give you where they are, just going to tell you they're up there in the Northwest, dedicated viewers, lots of stations of their own, personal private networks, and they're showing the quakes. I'm not going to share the links because that's how you'll get shut down. So you're just going to have to trust. And I'm from Missouri, so it is what it is. You guys show you or not, it doesn't matter, right? Get it? Show me? Missouri? Okay, anyway. Yeah, so there's earthquakes striking out there, 100%. And they're not reporting them. Because they're hiding them. They don't want you to see that there's a 5 out there and then a spread of 3s going across the plate. You know why? They said it couldn't happen. These people in particular, the people up here in the Northwest, at the University of Washington in the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network, made claims in the past that there was no spread of earthquakes going across the plates. Specifically pointing back to here, saying that Juan de Fuca does not cause shifting anywhere else on the plate. And they said that, put it in writing. Now, it's happening, of course. It does happen. And they're hiding it, and the way they do that is not report the quakes out in the ocean and try and hide it. And they failed now, because what they did was they picked a fight with me. They came after me and tried to get me shut down, the people up there in the Northwest at the PNSA. And I got pissed. And I decided I was going to make it kind of like a personal thing, that I'm not going to let them off the hook for what they're doing or what they did. and I started to look into the quakes because it started to get weird because there used to be quakes that struck out here in the ocean. And then I got into a big debate with their director who attacked me. He came over and I didn't know who he was. He came over and just whacked me over the head online. And then he said there were so many earthquakes striking out there every week. He's like, forecasting a 6.0 earthquake out there is like shooting fish in a barrel. They happen all the time. And then I'm like, oh yeah? Okay. Well, okay, if they happen all the time, we should be able to forecast them then. And then that was several years ago. And then all of a sudden, just maybe one or two times every 6 months, they're putting a quake out there in the ocean now. So my viewers started to get suspicious because they did it in Oregon. They started cutting the earthquakes in Oregon completely and turning them into explosions. And here we are again, another day without any quakes in Oregon, right? One at Mount Hood from yesterday. But again, no quakes in Oregon again. And that's weird. So that got my viewers' attention, and nobody believed me. They all thought my trolls got involved. And that's when you know things are getting ready to happen. My trolls got involved, and they didn't believe me that they were hiding earthquakes out in the ocean. So that led people to basically start to monitor their different private stations. And they found out that I'm right. Now and people try to ask me now, why? Like I'm some kind of Sherlock Holmes who needs to figure out what their motivation is for hiding. Look, I'm the one who found that they're hiding them, guys. You're going to have to figure out on your own why they're doing it. That gets me back to the quake over here and changing it to a 6.9. That, again, when we're padding the numbers to make things less serious, just to make people feel better, that's where science stops, personal feelings, politics takes over. And that's where I sign off. So that's where I'm going to sign off now. 6.9 to 7.1. Striking over here. Tsunami warning issued. We'll go back one more time and check tsunami.gov. Still have the tsunami threat issued. Still have these potential statements, Guam and so forth. Let's just click on the informational statement. No actions are required. There is no tsunami threat to Guam or Rota or Tinian or Saipan. No warnings for them. So the only warnings will be 300 kilometers out from the earthquake epicenter, which will put us basically up here and down here. Right around the first inner ring. So right around the first inner ring is where we would watch for tsunami, and that's already now come and gone. We're talking about the last tsunami warning location being at 46 after the hour, and we're at 25 after the hour. So if any tsunami was going to hit, it would have already hit. So that's the good news. And let's go check the National Data Buoy Center again to see if any buoys are on event mode. No buoys in event mode at all. No sensing of the seismic wave at all so far. And you guys remember the other previous large quakes and how they show up on the buoys. So I'm really, again, you get a wave warning, an actual tsunami warning, with no buoys in event mode, no buoys in the area at all, on purpose. Makes you wonder what kind of scientists we've got going on here. People tell me to go in charge of the USGS. Yeah, you'd have to force me under the threat of a gun and pay me a lot. Top it off, you have to pay me a lot to top it all off. I'm serious. No way. Not in a million years. And if you do it, I'm going to make them all wear a uniform like at McDonald's. Name tags, paper hats, the whole bit. So, I don't know if you want to make me the director. Time now is 1:26 p.m. Central Time. I will sign off. I'm going to save this as a video. We will upload it over on YouTube. I'm going to get a second update out, incorporated in a forecast, incorporated in areas to watch. I'm going to have to do that now in light of this 7, so it's good I didn't do it earlier today. We will now warn based upon the spreading wave that's taking place. I think within the week, we're going to be seeing Japan. We're going to be seeing a spread go out over towards Myanmar and into China within the week. And we should see, within a few days, a spread go across the Pacific. And we should see compensation movement on the opposite side of the Pacific, which means, I didn't even touch on this, but Mexico would need to start watching along the coast for a near 7. Let me show you, hold on. before we go, this is important actually. So I am going to issue a warning for this, but let me just show you on the USGS plate boundary map. We've got a 7 point whatever on this side of the plate. Now I just want you to go straight across and look where that puts us. Okay, right? It's pretty obvious. One wing of the Pacific on one side, another wing of the Pacific on the other. When one side flaps, the other side flaps. And we get about the same. And no, we're not talking about a bird or orca whale. Although this does, hey, you know what? If you look at it sideways, that this would be a mouth of a fish, and this would be its fin. It's like a giant whale. Pareidolia, you're going to see it from now on. Either it's a flying fish or a giant... Hey, it's the fish I caught last week. It was this big. The good news is, this quake likely did not cause extreme widespread damage, being that it was out in the ocean by about 100 miles, 75 miles, and that the wave that would be generated on that, while it might be a few feet high, would not be Japan-level tsunami coming in that's, 30 meters high, 100 feet tall or anything. Nothing like that. It would be more of a small wave, if any wave at all. That's the good news. The bad news is that on the opposite side of the plate, there should be some compensation. There should be compensation going up to Japan and compensation going out to the first bend in the plate out towards Myanmar, which is really China and Asia. Then after that, it's going to go up into Alaska. It's going to go out across the Mideast over into Europe, and it may even go all the way down south of Australia. But I have to get a forecast out for that in the next day, or today. Most likely I'll get that out today. All right, now I can sign out of here. Let me remind you all, don't be scared. You need to be prepared. I say this pretty much at the end of a lot of my broadcasts, not every broadcast, but you need to know what to do when a quake strikes, which everybody runs around for some reason, screaming earthquake, like other people don't know. I've never been in a quake, knock on wood, of any kind, not even a small one. So I don't know what it's like. But I would think when things are falling and it's really chaotic, you would want to know exactly where to go, almost like pre-drilled. You would just dive under your desk and know where to go. So desk or table is what's recommended. Door frames are not recommended. The professionals have pulled a Mandela effect. They're trying to say they never said it. Yeah, they're trying to say they never told us to stand under doorways for protection from an earthquake. Go look it up. They say it's a wives' tale based upon a picture from the late 1800s or something, or 1900s, early 1900s, of a door frame standing. And because there was a picture of a door frame standing, everybody assumed that you were supposed to stand under a door. That's their explanation for their door frame thing. So I'll tell you, take shelter underneath a table or a desk. Pretty simple. Now, afterwards, or if the quake is so big that you start feeling like your structure is compromised and you might not want to be in the structure, you're going to need to go outside and you're going to need to know where to go beforehand. So you need to know your surroundings and basically have a pre-designated area that's far away from sewers, gas lines, power lines, trees falling, outside structure. There's so much stuff outside. So that's why take shelter first. Then if your structure is compromised, it's not going to, of course, a table or desk is not going to support a collapsing structure. So you'd have to be wise on that if you're going outside or if you're staying inside after a quake. You need to have an emergency kit. I'm not selling any of that crap. You should already have it. You should already have a change of clothes and a set of shoes in a bag with a flashlight and some batteries and first aid, bandages, and some sanitation. Come on, everybody's got sanitation now after this past year and a half of crap. So you would need to have that all into a bag. Oh, extra set of keys, probably. I don't know, extra debit card and information for yourself. But you'll think of good things to put into the bag. Food and water is a basic, but you don't want lots of it. So you want prepackaged, fruit roll-ups and granola bars, not steaks. And then you're going to also want some water, but you're not going to want huge jugs of it at 7 pounds a gallon or something like that. So think about it. Have your emergency kit in a bag somewhere that you can get to easily and grab either before the quake or, not before. Well, if you're following me, you might be able to grab it before the quake. But otherwise, when the quake is hitting, you either grab it when you're going to shelter or you grab it if you're going outside. And you'll be way better off than all the other people around you who didn't prepare at all for anything ever. And they'll come asking you for stuff. So, I wouldn't go advertising to everybody that you got stuff. Just because they'll all come try and get it from you, They'll be like, oh, you could spare a little. And next thing you know, you don't have anything. Which is probably a good idea to have some extra so you can help other people. If you want to. 1:32 p.m. saved as a video. Going to upload over on YouTube now. And I will be back in just a little bit with an update. Okay? Peace out, guys. Much love.